Hey everyone, how's it going, and welcome back to Robot Boy. And in this video we're going to be taking a look at the No Man's Sky Next trailer, breaking it down almost frame by frame, discussing the new features and systems that have been implemented, as well as sharing my thoughts on the potential of some of the new things that have been shown in the trailer that we still don't know all of the details about yet. This is it. This is the reason why my channel exists. It's all been leading to this moment, this video. This is the defining video for my channel. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see my full initial reaction to the trailer, I'll leave a link to that in the description. But for this video, we're going to go through it step by step and analyze it, break it down. So let's get into it right now. Strap yourselves in. It's going to be a good one. So the trailer opens up. We see, obviously, third person. This is very apparent, and it's interesting that the rest of the trailer remains purely in third person, even for the starships, which is awesome. Sean has confirmed, however, if you're worried about it, that the game will be fully playable in both first and third person views, which is great news, meaning you can easily and always switch between and to your preferred viewing angle. Personally, I enjoy third person a lot, as you can really gather a better sense of scale, and No Man's Sky is of course a great game to gather a sense of scale and really see just how small you are in this massive universe. And for me, was something that was missing from the game. I felt like you couldn't really gather a sense of just how small you were standing next to all of these massive landscapes and seeing your ship in space, just getting a sense of how small you are. However, the option now at least to switch back and forth is awesome, as I would love to of course experience the original No Man's Sky perspective when exploring Next as well. Okay, so we can see another big change: underwater bases. Bases have now been confirmed to be buildable anywhere. You don't have to find one in a specific area on a planet that has been flattened for you. We can now manually decide where to build our base, including underwater. We'll also see a base built into the side of a mountain later on, which is also amazing. Multiple bases have been confirmed too. Dramatically increased building limits per base, as well as a whole range of new building parts have been added as well, some of which you can see here in the piping underwater. Essentially, bases are gonna be big. Bloody hell. Okay, we're still on the first frame. Gonna be here for a while. Synchronized universe is something that comes to mind. We see another player mining in real time, and the element that the player mines from actually disappears from the player's perspective too, from our perspective, confirming that this universe will now be genuinely synchronous and persistent, meaning that what other players do to affect the world and terrain will also translate across to your game and everyone else in your game as well. Everyone will see what's happening across the board. It won't be like it currently is, where your universe is locked to you. It can be a different time of day, someone can modify the terrain and it doesn't change for you. Everything is going to be synchronous. We also see a Ghek Swimming, which I originally thought in my initial reaction was an NPC, but it is now confirmed that this is another player, and you can actually customize your character to look like a Ghek. We see the Ghek multiple times in this trailer, as well as in the promo images released on Sean's blog post, but nothing has been yet seen of the Korvax or the Viking, which, if you don't know, are two of the other races in the game. Well, we haven't seen anything yet. I would imagine that we would be able to look like them surely, as well as the Ghek, but we'll have to wait and see, either in the patch notes or when Next actually releases, to see if this can actually happen. We see a really smoothly animated swimming animation, along with some cool and realistic looking rock and sand formations the closer that the terrain gets to the land. If you look closely at the jetpack on the player's back as well, you'll see some thrusters that appear, which actually fold back into the jetpack when the player leaves the water. It's a small but cool touch to show how the thrusters are used as a way to propel the player underwater, and it's something I really enjoy, and it really looks like Hello Games have gone all out to focus on the tiny details here to really sell this experience. Water effects. The surface actually has proper physical waves now and motion to them, instead of being a completely flat surface like we currently have. It's nothing massive, it's nothing huge, the waves aren't ridiculously big, but it's definitely a big step up from what we currently have. We haven't seen any massive oceans yet, bear in mind. This is just a lake, so it will be interesting to see if the animations of the water are any more extreme or larger for bigger bodies of water. If they're not, I don't really see that being a problem. The fact that it has been overhauled to some degree anyway is great to see. Next, we have our squad of 4 players in an Atlas station, which to me confirms that we can go through the main storyline together. We then cut to a shot of our player on a toxic planet with a friend, this time fighting a brand new alien creature with multiple arms and eyes. Very creepy looking. However, this was actually found in the game's files ages ago, but was purposefully omitted by Hello Games for reasons unknown. But that doesn't matter anymore because they are making a comeback in Next, and for all we know, we could even see more types of creatures added as well. One thing I find interesting here is just how small the multi-tool looks in the character's hands. This seems to be the default multi-tool that we all start off with, the little rounded red one, and it seems pretty bulky in the first person view. However, here it kind of looks pretty tiny. I wonder how the perspective will differ in first person mode compared to third person. It's interesting. I hope you guys see what I mean, and I wonder what you guys think about this and how this is going to affect the perspective of it. The character then greets some friends at a portal. It's nothing too crazy, but again, this does confirm that we can easily use portals to travel to meet other players. If you look on the right side of the frame as well, something I caught just for a few frames in this small clip, we see a large Stegosaurus looking creature moving. I'd love to see that in full and see generally how different it is to what we have in the game, along with any other fauna or creatures, and just see the differences in them compared to what we have now. The trailer then cuts back to the main walkthrough back on this lush, beautiful, grassy plain planet, accompanied by huge trees. Finally, JJ, I know you'll be pleased about this one. I am as well, as this actually makes sense now. Trees make sense, and I can't wait to see full forest planets with this scale of tree on it. The starships also have much more detailing on them, both with texturing and modular parts. The full extent to which we can customize our ships is still unknown, but it looks very promising from here. The next little flashback that we see shows off an exotic planet, and my word is there a lot to talk about in just this one shot. Let's start at the foreground and move to the back. So we have a player sitting down on the floor, as well as another waving, confirming that emotes will definitely be added to the game. The racetrack we see below is a full racetrack with proper modular parts. The exocraft down on the ground is also a different colour to the basic silvery and orange colour that we currently have, basically confirming that we can definitely customize at least the colour of our exocraft, let alone adding different modular bits to it as well. I hope this also translates over to our ships too, being able to change the colour. That would be really cool. Off in the distance now, the general formation and generation of the rocks and mountains looks outstanding. The draw distance looks awesome, and there are much more harsher and sharper verticalities to the cliff faces. In the sky now, one of my personal favourite features to be shown off in this trailer is a brand new cloud tech that is on full display here, featuring full volumetric and dynamically forming clouds that stretch off into the horizon. This is massively improved from the low-res balls of white that circulate the player at the moment. Currently in the game, you can actually see the point in which they cut off, and it just looks horrendous. You can see the circular texture of clouds when you're on the planet. It's so ridiculous. I'm hoping now we can actually fly through the sky, skimming through the clouds, cutting in and out realistically. We can't see it here, but there are actually now multiple layers of clouds too, which further increases the depth and density of the effect. And finally, off in the distance, we see the highlighted curve of a planet. Now, you might not think this is much, but it actually is a pretty significant change. At the moment, if you're on a planet looking up at the sky, you can see the fully textured planet in the sky above. Now, in real life, when looking at a planet through an atmosphere, you will only see the surface of that planet, or the moon, if the sun is directly hitting it. Take our own moon, for example, right? You don't see the full outline of the moon if it's only a crescent. You don't see the rest of it. You just see the only bit that's highlighted. Now, this was actually how planets used to look in the E3 demos, but they were changed at launch so that when you look in the sky, you see the full planet and it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. But now Hello Games seem to have fixed that issue, again adding to the full immersion of the No Man's Sky experience. Another underwater screenshot now, this time showcasing a much more complex base than before, with new modular parts added too. This is just simply awesome. This planet here is actually my personal favourite planet of all the ones shown in this trailer. It reminds me strongly of Mass Effect Andromeda, except much better than that game because that game sucked. Again, showcasing the new scale of mountains, the draw distance and brand new biome assets in those rings and in those large leafy looking plants. In the bottom left, we see a much more detailed dirt texture featuring a much higher subdivision displacement map that again adds to the increased fidelity of planet terrains. This is the base that I mentioned earlier being built into the side of a mountain. I love how we can actually tactically build bases now and really craft independent bases unique to our planets. Currently, there's actually only so much you can do to make your base unique because we all have exactly the same flat circle area to build in no matter what planet you're on. The opportunities here now seem endless. Our player then teleports into the ship. There's no climbing animation, but I'm not really bothered about that at all, to be honest. When you see the full extent as to what No Man's Sky Next is, that's nothing. Teleporting is absolutely fine. This shot here is just gorgeous. Simply gorgeous. We see the cloud tech again in full motion, along with the vibrant grass and tall trees stretching far into the distance and high into the sky. A portal down by the lake suggests we can even craft our own portals so as to make travel even more easy. Another graphical note here is the upgraded implementation of screen space reflections along the water surface, which now accurately reflect the terrain around it. The overall water texture looks so much nicer in general than what we currently have as well. We now see the third person ship camera angle, which allows us to see how subtle wave foam is forming at the edges of the beaches. Now here, I'm going to be honest, I do find it odd at how much of the ground the camera is showing. It's almost angling downwards away from the ship and seems a bit off to me. I don't know if this is purposefully aiming down to show us the terrain below, as it's been done for the trailer, or how the camera acts when the ship is near the ground. You see how little of the upper space of the screen we can see, and how much of the ground we can see? I don't know, it's a bit strange for me. I want to know what you guys think. Is this purposeful? Is this just a weird glitch that hopefully they'll iron out? Let me know. Another biome is shown off here, with more large assets reaching high into the sky, and again more mountains shooting off into the distance. The cloud tech yet again looks marvelous and actually really makes a huge impact on the overall atmosphere of the game. It's amazing. I didn't think that changing the cloud tech, I thought it would look cool, but I didn't think it would have this much of an impact to the general feel and immersion of the game, but here it is, and it's selling it so much better. A large scale space battle now with multiple frigates engaging each other. This ship on the right seems like it could be a player frigate. If we can warp our frigates into frigate, I say it as frigate, look, don't bring me up on that, alright? I'm just saying it how it is. If we can warp our frigates into battle at will and engage against NPCs or even other planets, I don't know why I wrote planets, I meant players, players, that will be absolutely awesome. As the ship leaves the planet now, we see more of that cloud tech and planetary lighting working here. However, this time the planet off in the distance is a ringed planet. The shadow cast across the rings from the sun looks awesome, and I'm very interested to see what the rings look like close up. Rings around planets are made of asteroids, so hopefully these are super condensed asteroid fields. At the moment, if you've played the game, you'll know that asteroid fields have a very limited draw distance. They kind of just pop into view, they almost expand out of nothing and expand from tiny scale into a massive scale. It's a kind of a weird effect, so I hope that effect isn't lost in the asteroid field. I hope that they've accurately implemented a really good level of detail system to simulate the blending of the asteroids with the rest of the ring texture that we can currently see. As a first freighter then warps into the shot, an entire fleet follows, possibly our own fleet. The sound effects here are epic, and we can see a few new variants of the frigates as well, which I assume are the new type of capital ships that we can manually command. The next planet we see is very Atlas Rises actually, with the crashed freighter and desert biome on display. Our old friend the Colossus makes an appearance too. The only extra craft we don't actually see in this trailer is the Nomad, but I'm sure it will make a return to the game, no doubt. Generally, the weather effects here are improved too, with distortion applied to the screen and dust particles being flicked up. We also see a white exosuit in the background briefly. Another space scene here, this time revealing something that could be quite important. We see a planet nearby that seems to have a very defined river looking texture applied. A big feature that a lot of people want to see come to the game is an improvement on how accurate the texture of a planet from space is compared to the actual terrain once you enter the atmosphere. Currently, the correlation between the two is not great, and the terrain almost never accurately resembles what it originally looked like from space. this is something we won't find out about until either the patch notes or launch itself. As we see an exocraft dart off over the hill on this icy planet, Thanium glows in the distance, which it currently does not do. A league of sentinels stampede past the player. I assume they are chasing the exocraft, however they could also just be roaming around freely, something that they do not currently do as well. The drone sentinels do wander around, but not the dog-like or walker sentinels, so I do wonder how this will play out in next. And finally, our little Ghek friend makes an appearance here, before the camera pulls out to the grand finale to reveal a proper look at the new frigate class ships that we can command alone or with friends. On the side is a landing pad for our starships. I wonder if there will be interior hangars as well, and if we can even customize the build of our freighter beyond just interior modular design like we can currently do with our freighters in 1.3. Could we design specifically where the landing pads will be? Will all landing pads be located here on frigates, or could it change depending on which ship you find? Again, that's something we won't know until launch. In the distance, we see more variants of the new ships, which could indeed be more ownable frigates that we could claim as a capital ship or just add to our fleet. Just before the screen fades to white, we see a really awesome ship up in the top left of the screen that has this cool arch extending from it and looks very Star Wars-esque to me. I can't wait to see the full range of frigates that we could own in No Man's Sky next once it releases for PC, PS4 and Xbox One on July 24th, which is less than a week from now. And then the trailer ends with that signature No Man's Sky logo and the Atlas pulsing in the distance. So that's it everyone, this is the biggie. This was the video that my channel was always building towards, a full analysis of the new trailer for the new update for No Man's Sky. This is the longest scripted video I've ever made, and it deserves to be so. What an amazing time to be a No Man's Sky player, and what an amazing time to become a No Man's Sky player if you aren't already. Remember, this is just a 1.5 minute video. The full patch notes are always much longer than the trailer, so when they release I'm sure that will blow our minds even more, and you can of course expect a breakdown of those patch notes here on this channel. As always, please do leave your ideas and your thoughts in the comments below. Did I miss anything in this trailer? Did you guys see anything that I didn't? Please let me know, and I want to know what about the trailer got you most excited, and what are you going to do first when you get your hands on No Man's Sky next. As always, please give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and do subscribe to join me on this journey if you haven't done so already. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video.